Makissalan ayulinu Mgbemena Ndadilan aytamas Chiemeka Makissalan ayulinu Mgbemena Ndadilan aytamas Chiemeka.
Hello and welcome to episode 39 of Afrikanists Assemble. We have always tried to integrate questions that get our contributors to think creatively, but this month we actually asked them to compose creatively. Here's the prompt we gave them. Please compose a creative contribution, either in poetry or prose, about the experience of learning a language. Recite it for us, and remember to keep it under 3 minutes in total. We really had no idea what kind of content our contributors would come up with for this one, but we got a nice little collection of creative writing. Take a listen.
The officer in charge of the final clearance went through my document a second time and said, "I can see you have lived in Akandi for 5 years. You should be fluent in Akandi." She greeted me in Akandi. I did not offer a word in response. She asked directly, "Do you understand Akandi?" "Maybe a little bit," I responded casually. "Did you learn to speak Akandi?" the woman asked again. I tried to, but I stopped. My face clearly showed that I was only responding to her questions in order not to be rude. "Why? You lived with my people for 5 years and you couldn't speak the language? Why didn't you learn to speak Akandi?" she persisted. I was quick in my response. Well, English is the official language. The people I work with understand English very well and we use English. And how can I even learn to speak the language of a people who do not have love in their hearts for outsiders? She looked straight into my eyes as she drew her lips into a tight close. I stretched my lips very wide until my eyes began to glow. She stretched her hands. I collected my documents and walked towards the exit door.
Ungcamlo lolwimi olutsha. Yintoni na lento ilulwimi? Yintoni na lento ilulwimi? Thulani nizole nithi tu. Valani imilomo nivule iindlebe. Zidwesha nani zidwangube. Ndivumeleni ndithethe. Zidwesha nani zidwangube. Ndivumeleni ndidwekeshe. Ilizwe lam lineelwimi ngeelwimi. Ilizwe lam lineentetho. Ndizivile, ndazizama, ndaze ndaziqonda. Noxa ndingazihlelelanga desikeni nje, kodwa ndizingcamle. Ndiluhlafunile olwam lweenkobe, ndade ndalutyekeza. Ndithetha ngolwimi lwesiXhosa, kaloku. Ndisivile isiZulu, ndasiqonda. Ndasimamela isiSwati, ndasilozela. Ndisiphulaphule isiSuthu, ndasizama. Ndiwele iilwandle ndangcamla kwiilwimi nje ezingephi zakowethu. Ndafika kwelamaJamani ndajamelana nolwabo ulwimi. Ntethoni le ingade yityiseke. Ntethoni le ingade igqibeke. Ntethoni le ingade iqondeke. Ngeba ndiyifanisa nenye yezi zakuthi eMzantsi. Ndithi ndisalinga ukwenjenjalo kanti nditsho ecaleni kwalo. Kaloku le ntetho ifuna ubucwayi nobucwaluza. Kaloku le ntetho ifuna ubulumko nobungqondi. kunanamhlanje ndipitiliza ngakhona, kunanamhlanje ndipitiliza ndisiya. Kaloku ndiyintandalwimi ngokuzalwa, kaloku ndiyintandalwimi ngokuthanda. Wona amava endinawo ngofundo lolwimi angumnqantsa, mnqantsa lowo endiwuqantsayo. Ngenxa yokuba ndilijoni lentandalwimi, yiyo loo nto ndisithi ijoni emfazweni. Phambili ngofundo lweelwimi, phambili ngoqondo lweelwimi, amandla.
Hello, my name is Azetu Azashi Agyo. I'll be reciting a poem, and this poem is premised upon my experience in Ibadan while I was doing my postgraduate studies at the University of Ibadan, UI. I've had few friends, Yoruba friends. I've been interacting with them, and over the time, I fell in love with the language, and so I began to learn the language. The few experiences that I had, I weave them into the lines of poetry. And so I will recite the poem. In the realm of Yoruba golden tongue, I am back on a journey, a path unwinding, through the realm of Yoruba, where words are entwining. Orimi, Orimi, my head, I enchanted, thinking I had said, Oremi, Oremi, my love, my love. As the rhythm and sounds of Yoruba start to enchant, in this land of ancient wisdom, where love resides, I discover the sweetness of Ifemi, my love. And inside the tender whispers of Oremi, my love, echo through my soul. As Ayomi, my love, sets my heart aglow. With each dawn's breaking light, I greet the day anew. Ekaro, good morning, I say with a smile shining through. Though my tongue may stumble, my heart beats with delight as I weave a fabric of words in Yoruba radiant light. In this journey of discovery, I found gratitude's voice. Ekabo, thank you in that regard. I say with a heart that rejoices. For the gift of Yoruba, a language that is bold and free, a bridge that connects me to a heritage that is part of me. Oremi, Oremi, I repeat now with the confidence ablaze. As Yoruba rhythm and sounds ignite a fire that never fades. In this realm of golden tongues, I have found the love that is true, a language that speaks directly to my heart as I reflect the beauty of language. Thank you.
Èdè. Ohun tẹ́lẹ̀dá dè ni wọ́n pè lédè. Ẹ̀dá tó mọ̀ ọ́n ló lè tú. Ó wù mí kí n gbọ́ gbogbo èdè àgbáyé, kí n sì lè sọ kétékété. Àmọ́ kò wá hàn mí. Èdè Yorùbá la fi dáṣẹ́ mi. Èdè Yorùbá la fi gbé mi sínú fóṣù 9. Èdè Yorùbá la fi gbẹ̀bí mi. Èdè Yorùbá la fi kí mi káàbọ̀ sínú ayé. Èdè Yorùbá la fi fún mi lọ́mú. Èdè Yorùbá la fi pọ̀n mí sẹ́yìn ìyá mi fọ́dún 3. Èdè tá a fi kọ́ mi ní rìnrìn. Fàmí ń tẹ̀tẹ́, ó dánmọ́rán lẹ́nu mi, ó dùn mọ̀ràn bí àádùn bí oyin, ìgò oyin àdùn. Mo dàgbà tán, wọ́n ní dandan kí n tó lè bẹ́ pépé láwùjọ. Mo gbọ́dọ̀ gbédè Gẹ̀ẹ́sì, mo gbọ́dọ̀ lè sọ fatafata, kí n fi ṣe fáàrí, kí n rí mú ṣe fújà láwùjọ. Ibi ìṣòro ìró èdè ni mo ti bẹ̀rẹ̀. Níbi kí n máa fi àfèrègìpè àfúnúpè àìkùnyùn pé àfèrègìpè àfúnúpè àkùnyùn. Mo fi àfẹ̀yìnfètèpè àfúnúpè àìkùnyùn pé àfẹ̀yìnfètèpè àfúnúpè àkùnyùn. Mo láwọn àwọn kọ̀kò lọ, yẹ̀yẹ́ mi wá pọ̀ ní kíláàsì láàrin ọ̀rẹ́ ojúlùmọ̀ àtojúlùgbà. Ìpèníjà èdè àkọ́kúta ní olóǹkà. Mélòó la fẹ́ kà lẹ́yìn Adípèlé? tinú ọrún tòde òjì ọ̀kànlélírínwó èrìgì ló forí mulẹ̀ láì yọ ṣé híhá ọ̀pọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ àpólà àti gbólóhùn èdè ní káwí ni àbí kíkọ́ òfin gírámà èdè ọ̀hún ní kárò pípa àwọn èrò èdè àjèjì ò rọrùn rárá ìbẹ̀rùbojo pé mo lè ṣàṣìṣe kò gbẹ́yìn àmọ́ adìyẹ mi ń làágùn ìyẹ́ rẹ̀ ni ò jẹ́ ká má purọ́ ká má jalè èdè àkọ́kún tẹni ò rọrùn fádùnní mo bá tún bù ṣe gàdà mo bù ṣe gèdè wọ́n bá ní lọ kéde Chinese mo bá tún bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní ìhàó àti nìjà ṣàmọ́mìntì mo kọ́ faransé kọ̀mẹ́tútàpẹ́ tàfábì ẹ̀ mẹ̀sí sífúplé kò séyìí ó rọ̀ mí lọ́rùn bí èdè abínibí mi èdè kíkọ́ ò rọrùn lágbà bóyá bó bá jẹ́gbẹ́ èwe ni mo fojú mi mọ Gẹ̀ẹ́sì Faransé Chinese Hausa àti Igbo bóyá gbogbo rẹ̀ ní bá mọ̀ dúdú ní bá máa láwọn ahọ́n gan-an níṣòro èdè kíkọ́ mi èdè kíkọ́ ò rọrùn lágbà.
My experience of learning a language started in my secondary school, where learning French was part of the school curriculum, and it was mandatory for all students. There was much time available for me to learn, but it was still something I couldn't learn very well because I didn't have that flair for languages. Even when our instructor did his work with passion, the best I could do was to approach all his efforts with disinterestedness and grumbling when he enters the class. The opportunity to learn French again came up in my university days. I had to take an introductory French course in my first and second semesters, but I only took it as a normal academic activity to pass the course. Another experience of learning a language was during the compulsory 1-year National Youth Service Corps program in my country, Nigeria. I recall my experience of learning the Xhosa language when we spent 2 weeks in the orientation camp. We had instructors who taught the language and culture as well. It was just for 2 weeks to enable us blend with the people and have the ability to communicate with them. Though a very short time to actually learn, but even after we left the orientation camp, I continue to learn through my daily interaction with the Xhosa people. Learning the language was something I needed badly because in the secondary school where I did my primary assignments, students' communication in English was very poor. The very common expression when I encounter people in that community is Baturunchi, which is literally translated, no English. It is a way of telling me that I should communicate in Xhosa. The plan to learn how to speak the Xhosa language fluently was not achieved. However, what I learned was the meaning of some Xhosa words and expressions. Living amongst them creates the desire to interact with the language, but the learning process was very slow, and until I left that location, I never gained mastery of the Xhosa language. I still believe it is good to learn at least one language or multiple languages when we have the opportunity, because language is one possible way to connect with people very well. Thank you.
Learning a new language reminds me of my homeland. Caigo sueto dai ponti e lava dista, dragging fate in the mud of a lagoon. Then suddenly, that breeze, o sopro do Oceano Atlântico, a afastar as nuvens, com o seu cheiro de saudade e o brilho do sol na areia. Words shine in their beauty of clarity. They speak of colorful connections, each color a meaning, each color an emotion. Obi mos ishk, groen wie jeden tag, to complete my language word.
My experience of learning a language. In my undergraduate days at Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Nigeria, I took a borrowed course in the Department of English and Literature. Oftentimes after the classes, As we troop out, students do crack jokes in Yoruba language. One day, an engaging joke was cracked. It generated rhymes-cracking laughter. I pleaded with the jokester to say it in English so that I could enjoy the joke too. He responded sharply, "Konidu," which means it will not be sweet. Hence, he refused, and I did not benefit from that joke. That day, I decided to go and join my ethnic association and to learn how to speak Yoruba. My attempt to learn Yoruba was associated with insult at the earlier stage to the point that I was almost discouraged. When they noticed your inability to respond to Yoruba language, they would say, "Kobo, Omo Kobo ni, Omo Ibo ni," which means he or she does not understand, or he or she is a child of the Kobo or an Igbo man. It may include Ogbede, meaning you understand Yoruba even if you do not understand it. If you attempt to speak and you got it right as a beginner, they may say Ogbede, Kogbeke, meaning you understand the language, but you do not understand its insight. For some of my friends, they do tell me, "Wa kalo bain," meaning "Come, let us go and kill you." It could be "She iya or babare loba soro." Bain, meaning "Are you talking to your mother or father?" though in a polite form. In a way, these insults helped the learner to learn faster and speak better with intent to respond and rebuke such occurrences. And as soon as they know your knowledge of the language has improved, they avoid such insults or comments. My push to my ethnic association helped me to appreciate my language and learn it better and faster. Thank you.
The journey into life begins with wonder and amazement. That is why a child resumes life with crying, not knowing the environment he finds himself. The parent rejoices to see a new baby, but the baby observes and reacts to everything around. Gradually, the child begins to listen to conversations from parents and well-wishers. In the bid to find interpretation, the voice starts to align into a coherent language. After some time, the child begins to mimic some of these expressions and gradually starts speaking them. This is how language acquisition begins. After some years on earth, the child gains mastery and eloquence of the language nuances. The process is slow, repetitive, and consistent, but the outcome enhances good communication, interpersonal relationship, and better opportunities. This is the process involved in acquiring or learning a new language, whether local or foreign language. However, education plays a vital role in enhancing language competence and overall understanding of life. Education and language also enhances freedom of expression of ideas, desires, and mutual understanding.
This is my own creative contribution about the experience of learning a language, but more like the language itself. And I say tongues killing softly, tongues being killed softly. On their way to the grave, sharp tongues of brave ancestors about to be laid to rest. English, broken as spoken, took over in the dead of a night. French took over the bench, and Wolof creates a stench in the minds of new Africans. So with a grain of salt, our masters taught lesson 1. You can't go home again, they said. home to the past, where the tongues ministered to tribes and tribes ruled the hearts of artists and artisans. What blocked the door against us? Who took our past off the map? We hear muffled voices in raps from abroad and African languages, merely enrich the mouths of colonizers, while doing nothing for African cultural independence. I say, in deep end then. For full disclosure, this was written after reading Africa and the Disciplines by Robert Bates and V.Y. Mudumbe and Jane O'Brien. They edited the book, published by the University of Chicago Press in 1993. You can check pages 213 to 231, and there was where the experience came from. Thank you very much.
Asụsụ m njirimara m. Asụsụ bụ njirimara mba. Mba ọbụla nwere asụsụ ha. Asụsụ bụ ugegbe eji ele mba. Asụsụ bụ ideji mba. Asụsụ m bụ Igbo. A na-asụ ya n'ọwụwa anyanwụ Naịjirịa. Igbo bụ ugo. Ndị Igbo bụ ọjị. Ugo eberela n'ọjị. Ihe dị mma na mma amakọọla. Ebi m n'ala Igbo. Ana m asụ Igbo. Mmụta asụsụ Igbo dị mfe. Asụsụ Igbo na-enye ọrụ. Ana m akụziri ndị na-amụ Igbo dịka asụsụ nke abụọ. Ihe mbụ m na-akụziri ha bụ ekele. Ekele n'oge dị iche iche. Ị bọọla chi, ị teela ụra, ị saala chi. Ha niile bụcha ekele ụtụtụ. Daalụ ọrụ, jisie ike, bụ ekele ndị na-arụ ọrụ. Igbo ejighị ekele egwu egwu. Nkọwa onwe dị ezigbo mkpa. Aha m bụ Nkechi. Abụ m onye Uturu dị n'okpuru ọchịchị Isukwu Atọ. Etoro m ogologo. Adị m oji. Abụ m nwata akwụkwọ. Ịkụzi na ịmụta asụsụ dị mkpa. Ka anyị nwee ihe anyị ga-enyefe ụmụ anyị. Ka asụsụ anyị hapụ ịnwụ. Ndewonu. Gbaa ekeresimesi unu nke ọma.
Could this really be a Tower of Babel effect, or a product of Eve's children's ingenuousness? How do thousands of tongues scatter about, and yet new tongues are birthed? Please understand me, for I am not speaking in tongues, but I am speaking in a strange one, because my mother's tongue is now estranged. A stranger I have become to the chitter-chatter and the banter of the Mopun language, the one I longed to speak so fluently in, and pen my deepest emotions in it. Oh, Alas, I have a broken tongue, but I will roll it across the ridges of my mouth anyway, until my ancestors would hear me, clear and still, in every word I spill. Thank you.
That caps off all the creative compositions we received for this episode of Afrikanists Assemble. What did you think of these interpretations of the experience of learning a language? What kind of poetry or prose piece would you compose to capture this experience? Feel free to write it in the comments below. This brings season 4 of our vodcast to a close. Thank you so much for listening and engaging with our conversations about African languages and literatures up to this point. We'll be back in February of 2025 with a new season. See you then.